I am a wilderness survival instructor and security contractor. A few days ago, a student of mine and good friend who I had taken out into the woods before told me his dad just got 150 acres of land in a secluded mountainous part of my state. It had a large amount of forest on it that hadn't been explored yet, as his dad was only building something for his horses that took up about 100 yards of the property, and his horses were free to roam at the moment. He said his dad got an insane deal on the property. My friend is now a dad of 3, and I knew he didn't get out into the woods that often. So I agreed to go with him, because it seemed really fun, and I can imagine he needs a getaway every now and then. We were both indigenous, into cars, into wilderness survival, and all sorts of stuff. So we never run out of anything to talk about in the woods. His dad, however, did express to us that he didn't want anyone exploring the woods unless they had a gun. He said it was because he saw coyotes. Now, we're all indigenous here, we're all raised in the same state. Coyotes don't actually attack people. My friend, called RC, also told me a while back, when we were first at the property, that he saw movement in the tree lines that was roughly human-sized and shaped, but couldn't really tell since his eyesight wasn't superb. I bought my AR and a small flint napping kit just for the fun of it, and we set off onto the property. We explored a lot of the rolling fields, creeks, and multiple natural springs and ponds. Everything felt normal. It was a beautiful landscape. Eventually we decided to get to the forested part of the property, as it hadn't been explored yet. As soon as we entered the tree line, the entire mood shifted. The forest had an ambience of its own, very similar to the woods in the movie The Ritual. The woods were grey and dead silent, save for the occasional creaking of tall, tired cedar trees. There was a very small stream running through the center of it, with sand that was black. It felt like we were surrounded, watching from all sides. It didn't take long before a very putrid stench hit our nostrils. It was the odor of rotting flesh. We decided to follow the smell and found the remains of 3 to 4 cows. We examined the exposed skulls and couldn't find any bullet holes. It didn't appear to me that these cows had been put down. Something killed them though, and their bones were spread over 30 yards. There were large indentations in the dirt all around them, since they were very vague in their shape. We decided to press on into the woods. Now, we were accompanied only by silence, the putrid odor of death, and the sound of our own heartbeats. We kept stopping at the stream, as I noticed several different types of tracks, large coyote tracks, and something else that was large but intentionally avoided the sand, it seemed. We pressed on into the woods until we started to find trees that had been bent over and pinned behind other trees while they were still alive. Something that could never, ever happen naturally. We hiked on and found what I can only describe as a tool made of bone lying on the ground. It was extremely crude, but looked like some kind of scooping tool or knife. It was disturbing because although it looked primitive, it looked way more primitive than a person could make, but an intentionally shaped tool nonetheless. We hiked on until we found a clearing with a pond that had a more large oval track surrounding it. On the other side of the pond we found a very strange little tree structure. It was an A-frame. It had rocks placed up against it. However, it wasn't that sturdy, and the rocks were very peculiarly placed. We found no signs of any campfires around it. We found no trash camping. This isn't exactly a place you could hike to from a house. I photographed and made a video of the little hut thing. It was getting dark, so we decided we should head back. I had a flashlight on my AR, but didn't want to rely on that in the dark with something that kills cows and could make tools out of their bones somewhere behind us. We made our way out of the forest and back to where the trucks were parked just in time before it got too dark to see. As we were leaving, we saw something on top of one of the hills that we couldn't identify, but didn't stick around to find out what it was. It's worth mentioning that the previous owner began construction on something of the property, abruptly halted construction and left.